Now you should see my little advert. So basically this said, if you're interested in taking electronic payments for your art exhibitions, I've been doing it for the last 3 or 4 years. And I said to Esther, I'd quite like to share my experience with those people that want to take it to the next step or the next level, or even just take the first step. So that's where it all began. The next slide is just a few questions. So we've got, let's just push this on to presentation mode and then we'll be a bit better off. So hello everyone, thanks for joining us. Now I've got 8 slides to run through. At the bottom of your screen, or if you're, well, in my case, it's the top of my screen, you'll see a place where you can raise your hand if you'd like to ask a question, and we'll try and bring you in and get you to ask the question. I'm quite happy for you to ask midway through or mid-sentence or whatever, so that it keeps the context going. There is a mute button. There aren't very many of us and it doesn't seem very noisy, so I was going to say keep it muted, but if you're not going to make a lot of background noise, then we should be fine without that. And as I say, we will be recording so that others can see it later. So that's that one. As I say, please do ask questions, raise your hand, or indeed type it in the chat and we'll record that as well, so that we've got those questions which we can give some answers to. If we can, I'll do my very best to answer all your questions, should there be any. If you'd like a copy of this presentation, I've got a handout which looks very much the same as the slides you'll see, because there's quite a lot of text in them. I've suggested you leave your name in the chat and then I can pick it up and email it to you if that's acceptable for you, which would be great. So how many of you on the call, and it's probably just a sort of raise a hand type thing, physically raise your hand like so, if you already use a card payment system, or whether or not you don't. So one person already used, 2 people already, 2 people already use it, and me, so that's right. Okay, so the other 2 or 3 don't use it, so that's good. So I know where we're doing. Oh, any of you part of a large group? So I think there were a couple on the group with a large group, or more than one anyway. Like Karina, you were 3, weren't you? Yeah. So this system that I'm going to talk to you about will be particularly interesting for larger groups, but even for a single artist, which is an individual artist, it's very useful too, and you can really get the benefits of it and track what your sales are throughout the whole journey, as it were. So quite good. So in this, I've done this as like a little book, really, almost like a bit of flip book preparation file, if you like. So I'm going to go through a quick overview. I'm going to go through deciding who your merchant should be. In the preamble, we were just talking about PayPal and so on, so we'll talk about that a bit as well. I'll give you an equipment overview, which is about, what equipment should I have, what's available, how much does it cost, that type of thing. And if you're in a large group or even an individual, how can you design an investment model to make sure that you can afford it going forward? And I've managed to do quite a lot on the basis that I run a large group with between 20 and 30 artists every year, all paying a certain amount of money to try and kind of make money available to do things like this. I'll go through what you need to get started, and I'll go through how you create an art catalogue for the system as well, and importing it and so on. And then for those of you that have got a label printer, that you might label your work up to post it to people or deliver it to people, you can use a label printer to print both labels for prices on your artwork, and indeed on you can use barcodes, or the system will generate a unique code for you for each artwork. You can use, I've got some, if you like, from all of this is done through the use of a smartphone. So I'll go through a few screenshots on a smartphone of what a transaction looks like. and what your options are, and a little bit of a summary of what systems are available, the sort of the top echelons of those systems, and any further help and processing. I've got a little processing code for the system I'm using, so that might be quite useful for some of you that haven't invested yet. So using a payment system can increase your sales. I found when I first started that having a card system, and I was working with the Bicester Sculpture Group, and they were doing basically cash sales. And when they joined forces with us and we put everything through on a card system, it almost quadrupled their sales because people were a lot more willing to part with their money with a tap on a card system than they were to bring out £300 or £400 worth of cash and pay in cash. And it also was more efficient. So, for instance, if you didn't have the cash on you, you would have to then sort of take that whole discussion away, talk to the artist away from the event, and it might take a week or two to get together and share, give the art to the customer and all the rest of it. So it's about being efficient at the exhibition and taking the money at the exhibition. Now, every merchant will charge a transaction fee. This ranges from 1.5% to 3.5% generally, but it does vary across suppliers. And I think if you are thinking about investing in a card system, then that's part of the research you should be doing about looking for their charges and ongoing charges. Some systems, for instance, give you a charge for in-person transactions, and they give you another fee, a different percentage for a website transaction or an online transaction. So, if you are thinking of doing it online as well as in person, you need to just have a look at that. So there are many suppliers in the space. The one I put first, which is Square here, there's iZettle. Square is the one I've used for the last 4 years. iZettle, SumUp, and PayPal are all kind of key top echelon suppliers. I know plenty of artists that use all four of those, but my preference is Square, along with another, for a number of reasons. One, they've got quite a good fee. Their systems are robust. They're well updated. Their customer service is very good. And their systems themselves are quite intuitive. So I quite like those. Now, each supplier offers an array of different equipment to collect payments, ranging from a simple smartphone and a Bluetooth connected card reader through to a full Wi-Fi display and till system, and quite a few options in between. So you just need to decide where you are in this. If you're just starting out a journey, and where I started was with a phone and a card reader. However, if you're in a large group and you want to be more like a pop-up shop, there are options like this machine here, which I don't know if you can see. This is a Square reader terminal, which has got a full till on it and a receipt printer and so on. So you've got those kind of options. This is the kind of, if you like, the little Square reader, tiny little thing, fits in your pocket. Although I don't recommend that, because if you get dust in it, it doesn't work, as I found out to my cost one year. Most merchants will also provide the till software with the service that they provide for you. Now, this is quite good because you don't have to create it, you don't have to do anything, it's there, and all you have to do is use it, which is great. So when you decide on your merchant and you look at your system, so look at the transaction fees, we talked about that, and how do they compare? Is there till software with it, and is there an app available? Most of these ones have an app for your phone. Now, just from an IT security point of view, if you're operating with an Android or an iPhone, you really need the latest updated software for your phone. That will be the most secure when you're using transactions over the internet. Okay. So how long will it take the merchant to pay you? Now, somebody mentioned earlier that they were thinking about PayPal. Now, PayPal do take a bit longer than others to pay you. It can take a week sometimes for PayPal to pay you, whereas Square will pay you within 24 hours. So if I take a payment today at work, by tomorrow at 4 o'clock, I will have that payment in my bank account, which is great. What do the customers on that particular merchant say about their supplier? So have a look at their reviews. It's quite a good insight into whether or not there's lots of complaints or lots of problems with the system. Square generally has a very good reputation. How easy does it look to use the system? So if you've never used one before, it's really useful to make sure that the system that you're going to use is intuitive, it seems easy to use. And as I say, okay, I've been using it for 4 years, but I find it very intuitive and very easy to use. And what system functions are offered? So do you want to offer, for instance, do you want to offer a gift card? Do you need to do refunds and so on? So have a look at that. It's quite a useful thing to have a look at when you're making your decision. Is there a referral system in place? What a referral system is? So at the end of this call, I will give you a referral code. So if you take up and do Square with your for your new till system, there's a code there which will give you the first, I think it's £1,000 worth of transaction with no transaction fee. And if you then introduce somebody with the code yourself, once you've taken it up, and you introduce somebody else, you too will get that as well, as will the person who takes it up. So it's a two-way thing, and it's great. Yeah, I've done this on 3 or 4 occasions, and it's just quite nice to see transactions being paid into your bank account without fees being taken. You don't get much for nothing these days, and that's quite a good little tip. Now, can an EPOS system, so EPOS, electronic point of sale, collect customer email addresses or contact details? So those of you who are doing exhibitions regularly, you'll all know that having your customers' information is gold dust, because you can email them, you can invite them to the next event that you do. So you can collect on these till systems customer information that allows you to email your customers later. So it's a really good thing to look out for in the systems that you look for. Any questions so far? I've gone through that at sort of rocket speed of a rocket.
I have a question for you, Graham, about the collecting email addresses, and it's just how it fits with GDPR. Do you know?
Yeah, so of course, you need to opt into communication. So when you say to a customer, have you got an email address? Would you like to have your receipt by email address? They have to basically opt in to say, yes, I do. Once they've opted in, then that's okay. So you just have to make sure that you tick the box that, yes, I've opted in for marketing communication.
Brilliant.
So,
thank you.
Yeah, sorry, it's Maria here. Sorry, I haven't raised my hands, but can I ask a question? Just because they agree to pay by email and you email them, it doesn't give you the right to marketing email to them. So do they have 2 options on the systems?
Yeah, it depends on the system, basically.
Yeah.
So, yes, absolutely. So I know with Square that you have an option to say, do you want future communications? And you can tick yes.
Okay.
But it depends on your on the system that you choose.
Yeah.
But,
all right.
The other way of doing it is of course to make a note of it and say, have a small form there that people just say yes, and then you know you can do it. So as long as you ask for their permission and they've said yes and they've kind of indicated that in some way, you should be fine with GDPR. And with GDPR, this is not a GDPR call, but you need to be able to give them the opportunity that when you are emailing them to unsubscribe if they feel fit to do so or feel the need to do so. If you don't do that, then that's against GDPR guidelines, if you like. Okay, so on the left-hand side of the screen here is equipment and processes. So at the top here, you can see my little card reader, and in it has got a card, and then you can see a mobile phone. So next to it is the mobile phone. On the mobile phone is an app, and it's the Square app, and it will have your till on it, and it connects to your Bluetooth reader by Bluetooth. So you need to have Bluetooth turned on. Bear in mind that when you have Bluetooth turned on your mobile phone, that it will use a little bit more power than perhaps if you haven't got Bluetooth turned on. So sometimes if you're in a stationary location, should I say, it's a good idea to have both devices plugged into the electrics, but it's not essential. These card readers with Square I've had this one charged about a month ago, and it's still operating now, and I use it every week for various other organizations that I work for. This is one of the beauties. If you've got four accounts, you can use the same reader for all 4 accounts, but that's probably A-level standard presentation than this what I would call a sort of O-level standard. But so it's really good, and they talk to each other. And as a minimum option, okay, that's where you should start. The card reader for Square cost, I think, about £16, which is not very much. And your mobile phone, hopefully, most of you have got a mobile phone. I think everybody. I did speak to one customer today who doesn't have an email address or a mobile phone, which I think she is in her 80s, bless her. But I think she's the odd one out these days. I think most people have a mobile phone. Most people have a smartphone that I know about. So that's your simple start, really. And from there, you can do everything you need to do that I'm going to talk about. But you can embellish your system slightly. So you could get a terminal. So this is the terminal, which I showed you a little bit earlier, which prints receipts out the top. And it has your till on a good screen. It allows you to insert a card at the bottom here. It's a bit like you would go into a pub and they'd have it on the counter there, and they would take your money. So that's quite a good little system. That little terminal there is about 178. It used to be 199. They put the price down. I paid almost £200 for mine, which it's now a lot cheaper than it used to be. And at the right-hand side here, I've got a router. So sometimes it always helps to have an internet connection. Now, if you're using just a mobile phone, your mobile phone will have a 3G or a 4G or even a 5G signal, and that is perfectly adequate to take payment. So, Maria, you had a question.
Yeah, sorry, actually, it's a husband, actually. I'm also exhibiting.
Another Graham.
I was going to say you changed, Maria.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, no, it was pretty good. You were showing us the simple card reader, and then you said the terminal has a slot for you to stick your card in. And obviously, if the transaction's over £100,
200.
so there's a slot in that one as well. Okay.
Yeah.
Fine.
So there's a slot in here. So if you're over £100, you put the card in here, and on your phone, it comes up with your PIN pad, and you present your phone to the customer. They put their PIN number in. It doesn't record any of that information, so it's completely secure. And off you go.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Sorry, I didn't catch your name.
Graham. I'm another Graham.
Oh, same as me. Good. I won't forget that one.
Okay. Thank you.
So at the bottom here, we've got a little printer. This is a label printer. It happens to be a brother printer. I haven't got this one. I've got its predecessor. It's still working and still going strong. And I print a little barcode label like this. So here's the challenge for people who've got a large group. I have had up to 35 artists in an exhibition, and over 800 pieces of artwork, cards, and alike. And I've created a catalogue. And I barcoded every single piece of work that goes into the exhibition. So it's got a price, it's got a title, and so on. I also have this lovely device. This is the most amazing device. It's a proper till. It's got a card reader, and you can scan the barcode with a gun, and it takes all the worry and problems away from accuracy in your exhibition. It's a fantastic piece of equipment. And attached to that, I've also got a star till. So that is somewhere where you put your money in. And on the right-hand side, you can see a little bit of costs about how much that might cost. So you've got perhaps a register might cost you £70 or £80. A barcode scanner might cost you up £80 to £90, and so on. so I appreciate that some of this is, as I say, A level as opposed to O level, but it's good to have an overview of what is possible so that you can have an investment model going forward. And if you've seen at the bottom right-hand side of the screen, this is how I've operated it. So I charge somewhere between 20 and 30 pounds, depending on the number of exhibitors, as an exhibition fee. So if I've got, even if I've got 10 exhibitors and I'm charging them 20 pounds, I have got 200 pounds to spend on stuff. And if I choose to spend it on a little bit of till equipment or a little bit of display equipment or whatever, then that is part of the growth of my network. But it is, the larger your group, the more you charge for the people to join you. There is a certain amount of stuff there. I also charge a small commission, and that also brings in some cash, which helps to pay for some of this technology, because it isn't cheap, some of it, and I appreciate that. But it is a long-term project, so you should be able to invest in this over 2 to 3 years. And if you want to just start this year, it's only going to cost you 16 to 20 pounds. That, if you see what I mean, it's all very a gentle glide path into something more robust. And it really does depend on how serious you are in terms of running your large group or whatever.
So I have a question for you, Graham, because I don't think anybody here is running a large group, but hopefully if we put this video online, there are a number of large groups where having the barcodes and things could be very useful. And you have said that you barcoded everything. Now that's obviously a lot of work for the exhibition organizer. So I'm interested in the process of barcoding and whether that's something that individuals could do and they could show up and say, here is my art, here's hanging their art, and they have barcoded things, or whether it needs to be done centrally.
Okay, so the process I work by is, my previous life was in a place where I was able to purchase barcodes. So I have purchased 500,000 barcodes. So I've got 500,000 barcodes available to me. However, most of the systems, and Square is particularly, I know this because I work with it, automatically can, if you like, code your individual products, unique code your individual product. And if you print that onto the label, that code onto the label, all you have to do is type in that 8-digit code, which is an awful lot quicker than searching for it in a list of 800. And later in the presentation, I will just show you how I do that and load it into the till. And I basically ask the artist to provide me with that list, and all I am doing is adding the barcode. So from an organizer point of view, it's less arduous than you think, because your artists are providing you with a complete list of everything that they are bringing to that exhibition. And that includes cards, coasters, art gifts, paintings, and so on. So good question, Esther, thank you. So again, apologies for the large amount of text. This is really meant for a handout. But this is what you need to get started. And I'll go through it briefly with you. So the first thing you need is a bank account. Now, I'm sure we've all got a bank account. I happen to have, I'm a bit greedy. I've got 3 or 4 bank accounts for various different things. And each of them are connected to a different Square account. So what you need is one bank account, and you need one Square account. So those are the 2 things you would do first. So you go and find your merchant, create an account with them. You've got a bank account, and you need to create a bank account and have both of those. Now, in most of these systems, the merchant or your credit card machine needs to connect to your bank account. And my one tip, and it's probably the biggest tip you'll get when you're setting this thing up, is actually connect at least a week or maybe even 2 weeks before you start to take any money. Because if you connect the day before, some of them need 24 hours or even 72 hours to make sure that they verify your information correctly and that you can start taking money. So don't leave it to the last minute, do it early, and you'll be fine, okay? So again, there's a few things in here that you may be able to read and see, but you know, just get those two things sorted first of all. Obviously, you've got a smartphone, and you'll have the till system on your smartphone, and you'll have your card reader. So your card reader, they range, as I say, from about £16 up to £25, depending on the provider you use and the level of reader that you choose. You know, this kind of till system here is £200, but you know, you can go for the cheaper one if you want to. And then make sure that you also download the merchant's app on your phone. I have got this phone here. I don't know whether you can see this, but up the top here is the Square app. And if I touch this, it will ask me to sign in. And then I don't know whether you can see it, but you then got your till sitting in front of on your home screen, which you can then, you know, you can basically do your transactions with.
Graham, could you please make sure that you speak into the microphone? You keep disappearing.
Oh, apologies. So did you miss anything there, Caroline?
Yes, I didn't hear the last bit of that.
Okay, so I showed you my phone, which is this one, with the app of this particular provider. And again, I've got quite a lot of glare here, so I don't know whether you can see it or not.
No,
No.
too small.
No, but basically there's an app on here with all the artists, and I can go in and I can see all their product on the till on my phone. So that's where I'm. So if you follow the 1, 2, 3 on the screen, create a bank account, get a Square account or a merchant account, add the app to your smartphone, and buy a Square reader or a card reader so that you can take the money through that merchant, and do it at least 7 to 10 days before you actually start your exhibition. That's the key points in that first box.
Yep.
There are now 2 ways to sell using your system. The first is simply to price up your artwork and use the till system, and you have a till. So, you know, someone brings up a piece of art, it's £150. You type in £150. They scan their card against your card reader. You may or may not put in their name and email address, and job done. They pay, and that money with Square lands in your account 4 o'clock the following day. So that's the simplest way. It's not the way I do it, because I don't think there's enough information provided by that. And certainly when you're dealing with 20 or 30 artists, I need to be able to pay them back the money that's been put into the account. So I need a blow-by-blow account of everything that they have sold. So what I do is I list everything that they bring, or they list everything and send it to me. Now, if we move over to the right-hand side, this is the art catalogue. So the first 2 boxes in this table at the top here, I don't know if you can see my mouse, but I've got the River Evenlow, framed print, and no category listed. A price, no quantity, and I've got duplicates here. So I've got 2 entries which say River at Evenlow. One's a framed print, and one's a framed original. This particular system doesn't like duplicates, and it's a simple Excel spreadsheet, or I think you can use numbers in a Mac, and just create a spreadsheet with 5 columns in it, and off you go. There are other ways. You know, and I don't want to get too technical, but you can do a CSV file or a text file to create this list as well. They're, if you'd like, more advanced options. And if anyone is interested in doing more, there is a little piece at the end which I'll talk to you about, which I'll offer some more help. But so the second 2 lines, so the one which is 01 and 02, is the great way of making those title columns unique, to make sure that your title of your art is always unique, even if it's got the same name. One's a print, one's an original, but 01 and 02 make it unique in the title column, which in this particular instance with Square, they like that. I've also put the artist name in. So if you've got 5, 10, 20 artists, the category is the artist name. And that, when you get a report out at the other end of the exhibition, that tells you exactly what items and how much that artist has sold, which is fabulous. Obviously, you've got the price. Now, with this, you don't need to add the pound sign or anything. You just put £100, 120, 300, 500, whatever, and how many items the artist is bringing with them. So they might bring one, they might bring 5, they might bring 100 if it's a card or something like that. So put that in. And so that gives you an opportunity to, if there's any theft during the exhibition, or if someone walks out and steals something, whatever, it gives you an opportunity to record what comes into the exhibition and what goes out. This information underneath that is all of that information, just distilled what I've just talked to you about. So I won't read through it, but it's a simple list from every artist of what they're bringing to the exhibition, and it includes everything that they bring with them to the exhibition. So here are a few screenshots of that phone that I was trying to show you earlier, but too much glare. So on the first screen on the left-hand side, you've got Barry, Alex, Carol, and Chloe. So these are the categories, okay? And they're categories within the home screen of your app. You can click on one of those, and I clicked on Carol. And under Carol, the second line here is all the lines that we've uploaded into the system and all the prices, okay? So you can see all of those items. Now, if you were selling something, you go into that item, you click on the item, and it puts it into the box. And as you can see on the right-hand side, you can see that we've selected a copper head at £70, the one with the third one along. And then if you've got customers in your system, you can then add their email address in, and you can also email them a receipt, which is great. So that's a really good option rather than printing a receipt, because the standard little card reader like this doesn't print receipts. So emailing is the best option if they want a receipt. And it's a good way also, as we talked about earlier, about collecting customers.
Excuse me, I can't hear you. Did you say that the simple system does or does not print receipts?
The simple system like this does not.
But you can email them.
Correct.
Okay.
If you buy something like this, then you have a paper receipt.
Okay. Thanks.
Sorry, I'm on my laptop without the usual microphone I'd have in the office, so apologies for the poor sound quality. And I'm also working on one screen here rather than 3 that I have in the office, so I'm having to move things around as I'm going around. But there we are. So here we go. I thought this would be really useful in as much as that on the left-hand side here, I just want to give you the simplest options and the, if you like, the 3 kind of core costs that it might cost to set up, if you like. And this might be over a 2-year period or 3-year period, if that's the way. Or if you've got lots of money in your club coffers, then you might want to go for the bells and whistles straight away. You know, that's your choice. The simplest option is a smartphone and a card reader. You get a merchant account. You get an opportunity to add items to your till, and you can collect email contacts. That is the minimum, really, that you should be looking for to start out. It's really easy, it's really straightforward, and really effective at recording all your sales, taking money and getting money into your bank account as quickly as possible. As cheaply as possible. We haven't talked about fees yet, but they'll be coming up soon. The next best option is, and this is the one I recommend really, is have a Wi-Fi terminal. So I go to Square, sorry, no, not Square, to 3 Mobile, and I bought a router, and I use a SIM card, which costs me £24 a month, and it's a rolling contract. So I can, as soon as I've taken it out, I cancel it, and it finishes at the end of that 30 days. So I've literally paid £24 for full internet connectivity throughout my exhibition. If, of course, you are at home doing your exhibition and you've got internet already, then you don't need to worry about that because you've probably already got it. You've got your merchant account. you can import and add your art catalogue. So all of your art you can list, and you don't have to do it through a spreadsheet. You can do it line by line within the desktop version of your app. And you can also, if you choose to, you can buy a little label printer if you haven't got one already, and you can print labels for your work as well. And that's from the same list that you would input into your till system. And of course, you can collect email contacts, as we've talked about already. So buying a few extra bits and pieces, it's about £340, £350 if you haven't got them already. You know, that's quite a good system to start with. And then this is where I've ended up, and I was very lucky in some respects to get some funding from the Welcome Back Fund, who bought me this big, great register till thing, which is fantastic. That can cost almost £1,000. But if you, as I say, if you use that investment model at the beginning and you start to collect money from your artists and you earn that money, you can start to afford things like this.
I have a question, please. Do these three, can I ask you a question?
Yes, of course.
Do these three systems apply to all of the brands you're talking about, or just Square?
I'm talking from a point of view of Square, and some of the other brands do have more high-end options with them, but I can't speak 100% for every single one of them because I don't really use them. But yes, they, you know, I know Square inside out, back to front because I use it every day. So, but there, you know, iZettle have a terminal much like this. So as well as the sum up, so you can get this kind of system, which is the mid-range system. I'm not sure whether they all do this Square register or whatever. Some use iPads and other things. So, you know, there are, you just have to do your research. And I think part of this is really for me to get you into a space where you're asking the right questions when you do your research. And I, as I say, this enables me to print my barcodes to the back of the artwork, and it also enables me to print a label to the front of the artwork, which doesn't have a barcode on because that's a bit unsightly. So we've got all of that stuff, and I now have a till. And when my artists come to the exhibition to man the exhibition, they are also till trained so that they can then operate that till. And so I don't have to be there 24/7, which is, you know, I run my own business. So of course, that's quite useful. Okay. But it's a good question from you, Caroline. Thank you for that. I've just written some indicative costs here for Square, which is £16 for the basic reader. Sum Up is £39 for its basic reader, and iZettle is £29. And you do get free software with all of them, so that's good news. Further help. So this is the last slide basically, but I have earmarked today, which is Thursday the 23rd. If anyone wanted to come along and see this in operation, stroke, understand a bit more detail about what's involved in setting this up, I'm happy to provide tea and coffee. You might have to bring your own lunch, but I'm happy to sort of have a 10 to 3 session with people who are much more interested in the finer detail of this. Maria, you had a question, or Maria's husband, Graham.
Hi, it's Maria. Hi again. Just a question, looking at it from another side, really, because this is something that you come across sometimes as a customer. Do all these different providers work with all different credit cards? So, for example, you know, when you go into a shop, sometimes they do not take American Express, for example.
Okay.
So,
well,
are there any restrictions on any of this, or you don't know?
Yes, I do. So Square takes just about every single card there is out there, including Amex. I had a couple of Amex payments this week actually with the business, so I know it takes that. I can't talk for all the others, and there may be some exceptions, but generally speaking, yes, I think they take most well-known cards.
Thank you.
Okay, I noticed we've got a few newcomers. Kathy, I don't know where you came in. Is there anything there that I've covered that perhaps isn't clear?
I came in just as just as you were showing this screen. So the only thing I'm not clear about is the £16. Is that it, or do you pay money each month?
Okay, so there's no monthly contract for any of this, which is great. What you do pay, and the way you pay, is you buy this little square reader, which is the £16 reader, okay? And I work it out based on a, let's say, a £100 transaction, okay? So you sell something for £100, the credit card that they scan takes that money from their account and puts it into a Square account. The Square account then removes their transaction fee. And Square's transaction fee currently is 1.75%. And other providers have different fees. Some of them work on 1% plus 20p, or there's a whole myriad of different ways that people operate their merchant fees. So Square is a flat 1.75%. So £1.75 for every £100 you sell. And when they give you the money back within 24 hours at 4 o'clock the following day, and you can, if you want to, do 2.5% and have it back immediately, but I don't do that. If you do that, they return you that £100 less their 1.75%. Okay, so you get back your money less their transaction fee. Okay.
Thank you.
So that it's pretty straightforward, as long as you remember that that's the case. And there is reporting within the system, so you can actually see every transaction, and you can see every fee that's charged, and you get a report, an email report every day that tells you how much money you've taken, how much fees that accounts for, and you can check your bank account, and there's the money.
Fantastic. Thank you.
So yeah, it's really good. At the bottom in the blue box, there is a code there. So if you do choose to take up Square, feel free to use that code. That will give you £1,000 free processing, and that can save you up to £17.50. Now, it doesn't sound like much, but in this day and age, £17.50, isn't it? So it's all helpful. As I say, if you would like a copy of this with all this detail in it, because I appreciate that it's a bit small on screen, leave your email in the chat, and we can I can email it to your electronic copy to you.
Yeah, I've done print screen, so we're fine. Thank
Lovely.
you.
Good. So that really is the end of my presentation. But if anyone would like any more help, as I say, I am putting sort of a bit of time available on the 23rd of March if you would like to come and see me in my studio in Bicester. I run a little framing business in Bicester, and I've got a little small meeting room. It's probably only useful for about 3 or 4 or 5 people, but I'm really happy if anyone's not sure about how to set up the art catalogue, how to run the payments, how to set up the merchant, how to all those things. I've done this many times. I'm very happy to assist artists in that way. So do get in touch.
Thank you.
So finally, any other questions for anyone?
Do you have any sense of the other? You've only spoken about the one brand, which is great, but it doesn't tell us anything about the comparisons.
Okay, so I have talked about other brands. So for instance, I've got here on screen here that you've got your sum up, your iZettle, and you've got the cost of the readers here. Their fees vary, and they are a bit more complex. So for the purposes of this presentation, I thought it was a bit difficult to just share everything, because these things can change periodically. But if you just go into Sum Up or iZettle and click the link in their website that says fees, it will be very clear and evident. They have to be very upfront with what they're charging. And all of those ones I've got there, and I think including PayPal, they don't offer a monthly contract. They are a no contract transaction, pay as you go fee. So that's the beauty of this, that you don't have to sign up and be lumbered with 12 months of monthly costs. You just, if you don't use it, you don't pay. You are paying.
Is that for Square?
Yes, it's for all of them.
For all of them. Okay.
Wendy.
Yeah, I've got a Sum Up simply because that's what I've had it for a few years, and that's what I chose to get. And I mean, I'm just very happy to use it at its most, basic level. Just taking card payments, and I've never had any problems with it. I've just been checking it. It says it's 1.69% transaction fee. It's easy to use. I'm sure there is. If you look online, I have seen comparison charts where you can see how much the various ones cost. But as Graham says, I mean, most of these cards, if you just use them at their simplest, you don't pay. It's a one-off fee buying the card reader, and they are very, very easy to use. And as he said, also the battery seems to last forever. I don't use mine for months at a time, and it's still charged. I mean, obviously you do need some access to either Wi-Fi or you're using data, but again, it's not been a problem. So I suggest, they're probably much the same. I don't quite know why SumUp is more expensive buying the actual card reader than the Square one, but all I'm saying is offering my experience. That's all.
Wendy, that's great. At the end of the day, they all make probably just about the same amount of money as each other, but they just do it in different ways. So, I get that. If they don't charge as much on their fees, they probably charge you more for their equipment and so on. So, it's a bit things and roundabouts for a lot of these people. For all these businesses.
Yeah,
I have a SumUp as well. I picked it up when they were flogging them off for 10 quid, but I haven't really used it.
Right. Yeah, I mean, the key is to be able to upload your art into it, and then if you're a single artist doing that, you might think that's a bit too much and you don't need to do it, but it is one way of being able to keep an inventory of your art. So, and then you can use it for not just art weeks, but you can use it for any exhibition, and you can keep your inventory in one place, so you know what you've got available at any one time. The other thing I do with Square is I have, on the Bicester Art Network account, I have 3 locations. So I have Art Weeks, I have Whiteland Sports Centre, where I do 4 artists a month, and they put up 10 pieces of art every month. So it's 40 pieces of art, and I run that. And I also have one for Bicester Art Network, which is my meeting that I have once a month. So I have 3 locations, and I can put a separate catalogue on each location, so that you can run, if you like, 3 events at the same time with 3 catalogues with different art in each catalogue. I am talking at degree levels kind of complexity here, but it's all possible with these things. And if you start small and just learn and increase your knowledge as you go through, you too can sort of get away from the notepad and paper, which takes 10 minutes to write down everything and so on. It's all very good, but this is so much more efficient, and you get so much more accountant friendly information back from it, and management information from it that will help you both as an artist or an organizer of a group and whatnot. So that's where I would come from with that.
Can I ask a quick one, Graham? My exhibition space is in the garden, and the Wi-Fi doesn't reach there. So I'm assuming I'll probably have to go to the house if I need to make a transaction, probably.
Okay.
Any tips for that sort of thing?
Yeah. So a couple of things. So have you got a mobile phone, and do you get a mobile phone signal in your garden?
It's a bit patchy. The network where we are, it's a bit patchy.
Yeah. Okay. So try that, because a transaction can happen over Wi-Fi on your phone, so your 3G or 4G signal. So you can try and see what your signal is out there with your phone, or you can choose a spot in the garden that works particularly well. Alternatively, you can come to the sort of the kitchen window where you have Wi-Fi access and have your, for want of a better word, your till point there, where you actually have got a Wi-Fi connection and do your sales there. It is just about finding the sweet spot with where you've got. The other thing you can get, and BT do them, are Wi-Fi extenders. So they connect with a wire to an extender, and you can bring that out to the garden, and that will give you a wider area of coverage with your Wi-Fi signal. But again, I'm not an expert in this, but you can get that. I do know they do those things to give you greater coverage throughout a house, if you like.
Okay, thank you.
Graham, I have a question for you, which is just that PayPal hasn't, since the very beginning, it's obviously not on your recommended list. And I just wondered why, because PayPal is one of the ones I do come across when I'm out and about, people use. And so many people have a PayPal account. I just wondered if there was a particular reason.
The only reason I discounted it when I was looking at this was of the words in their account which said, "We reserve the right to withhold the monies coming back into your account for as long as a week."
Right. Okay.
And running a business, it's all about cash flow for me, and I need the money in my account within 24 hours. And that was the decision I made about PayPal. PayPal is a very highly recommended thing, and I use it myself. I have a PayPal account. If I'm buying anything from Amazon or the US or any foreign country, I always use PayPal because it gives me a great deal of protection in terms of not using my credit card or debit card on online systems, which can be a bit problematic from a security point of view. So it's not. I'm not discounting it from a point of view of its viability. I discount it primarily because I don't get my money quickly enough.
Okay, good. Good, thank you.